Recording in progress.
Good morning, everyone. It's Monday. Let's take a nice deep breath together and feel the presence that is the very presence of love within us. Just take another deep breath and feel the presence of the very presence of love within us now. This week, this day, this moment, we choose but to follow that presence, to follow it as if it's the most beautiful scent of flowers we have ever experienced in our lives. Speaking of flowers, I hope you can see this, but yesterday, in fact, maybe I'll just keep the camera like this so you can see the flowers throughout the whole session. The church that we attend in town, St. Andrew's, gave us these flowers in celebration of my receiving the habit, and our dear friend Kosho, who celebrated Mass for the first time in over 30 years. That was quite a gift. Many of us went to experience that. But we follow this presence of love just as we do the scent of the most beautiful bouquet ever, knowing that it will lead us to that field, the field beyond our imagination, beyond all of our thoughts, all of our ideas of right and wrong, and that is where we will find the beloved. That is where we are being guided today, and all this week we're going to be exploring this. But we're going to begin with our daily word, which is all about joy. Today's daily word is, I have joy in my heart today. And it's going to be a fun song to sing. I think this is a good place for us to jump off, and then we're going to go in a slightly different direction, but then come back around in the end. So let's go ahead. I'll bring this up on the screen. And I'll sing this once all the way through, and then I'll have you join me. I have joy in my heart today. Let's really feel that. I have joy. I have joy. I have joy in my heart today. I have joy. I have joy. I have joy in my heart today. There's nothing left for me to do or say, for I have joy in my heart today. My life is fulfilled in every way, for I have joy in my heart today. Join me in that. I have joy. I have joy. I have joy in my heart today. I have joy. I have joy. I have joy in my heart. Uh-oh, someone's not muted. Make sure you're muted, everyone. I can't do it right here, but if you're not muted, make sure you are. Let's start at that again. I have joy. I have joy. I have joy in my heart today. I have joy. I have joy. I have joy in my heart today. There's nothing left for me to do or say, for I have in my heart today. I have joy in my heart today. I let these lyrics sing in my soul. I've got joy, joy, joy down in my heart. With or without the melody, this is a powerful affirmation reminding me that my joy is inherent. Singing aloud or softly puts a spring in my step and a twinkle in my eye. Joy is part of my divine essence and not dependent upon things that can fluctuate and fade. Because joy is my natural state, I need only to free it in order to feel it. I need only to free it in order to feel it. Even in the midst of an undesirable situation, I can open myself to joy. I focus on my blessings and on the divine love and life within. As I am lifted up, I feel the joy that comes from trusting spirit. I am calm, peaceful, and joyous down in my heart. And from the prophet Isaiah, for you shall go out in joy and be led back in peace. The mountains and the hills before you shall burst into song, and all the trees of the field shall clap their hands. So let's very quietly, we'll sing this one more time, maybe two. I have joy. I have joy. Yes, I have joy in my heart today. I have joy. I have joy. I have joy in my heart today. There's nothing left for me to do or say, for I have joy in my heart today. My life is fulfilled in every way, for I have joy in my heart today. I have joy in my heart today. Yes, I have joy in my heart today. So today, we're going to let that joy build. We're going to let that joy build by feeling, expressing, living the truth of joy that is ours, always has been, always will be. All we need to do is not block it. It's the same as love, the exact same thing. All we need to do is not block it, and we realize that it has always been ours. So my question is, if you were locked in a very chaotic, confusing, difficult dream, let's say you're sleeping and you're dreaming and you just can't get out of it, and you begin to realize, or at least to suspect, that it is a dream. It's not really happening, but you're stuck in it. You can't seem to wake up. Would you feel extreme, profound joy the moment you were able to snap out of it? Wake up back in your bed and say, oh, thank God. Thank God it was just a dream. Now I'm in the real world. Now I can experience joy on a new level. Well, I sent out a quote yesterday in an email, so some of you have probably already read this, but let me read it here. I just want you to take this in. You cannot say a dream is a dream until you wake up from the dream. You cannot say that a dream is a dream until you wake up from the dream. And when you are awake, there is no need to think about the dream because you know it was just a dream. There's no need to talk about the dream because you know that it was just a dream, not reality. When you know what is real, the dream fades on its own. When you realize what is real, what true reality is, the dream fades on its own. Those are some powerful lines. So who do you think wrote that? Anybody have an idea? I'll ask the Namaste group here. Anybody have an idea? A guess? Rumi? Well, who did you say? You guys got it. It was me. I figured you were going to say some high and mighty saint or someone, but no, it was just me. But I'll tell you how. It was because last night I was watching a video of the teachings of Papaji. Many of you know who Papaji is. He was a great Indian sage, teacher, someone who was wide awake. And he was talking about this. You know, we talk so often, we say, well, this is just a dream. We're just experiencing a dream, and all of the chaos and all of the trauma in this dream is not really happening. But the point that Papaji was making, and what I was trying to reflect in those lines, is that doesn't do you any good. Just like this fly. It doesn't do you any good just to say, oh, it's just a dream. Because once again, using the nighttime analogy, it would be like being in your dream and just saying, oh, well, luckily this is just a dream and that monster isn't really chasing me. It doesn't do you any good if you stay in the dream. And that's why it's about the experience of awakening. And when you do awaken from the dream, when you step into love, when you step into the real world, there's no need to even look back. It's almost like the story of Lot's wife, who was told, don't look back, just look forward. Just look forward and see where we are going, see where you really are. And I think what Papaji was trying to express in the video I was watching last night is it doesn't do you any good to talk about it. It doesn't do you any good just to hold concepts in your mind or your thoughts if you're not going to step into the experience, if you're not going to wake up. We love to talk about it. We love to read books about it. But to awaken, to come into the full realization, to be bathed in the experience of this, it's a very different reality. Now, how does that happen? I'm going to see if I can get practical on us. And here's the answer. I don't know. I don't know intellectually how it happened. None of us do. We can't figure it out intellectually because it's the intellectual idea that is keeping me locked in all of my concepts and all of my identifications, in particular, the identity that I have formed to hide from this. It's not for me to figure out. That was one of the other things that Papaji talked about. Don't try to figure this out. Don't try to get it intellectually. Just be open to receive. Be open to receive the experience of awakening, because there will, if you are open, if you are willing, there will come a moment where the tumblers fall into place and something happens that is wholly different than anything you've ever experienced before. And you will know it. And suddenly it's like a veil has been lifted. It's like suddenly you look at the movie set and realize it's just a movie set, not a real Western town. You know what I'm talking about? Those old movie sets in the old Westerns that if you were to be standing there in the middle of the street, it looks like a real town. There's the saloon, there's the hotel, but as soon as you step through a door, it's just a facade. Just as the world that you have made in your imagination, in order to hide from love, is just a facade, but there is a depth behind that facade that you can't even begin to imagine, that you can never get intellectually, but it will get you if you allow. Now, to swing back to joy. When that happens, you will know that it has happened because you will be filled with a joy that is beyond this world, or what St. Paul called the peace that surpasses understanding. You will be filled with such heavenly, maybe that's the right word, because it is not bound to your concepts of what happens here. You will be so filled with joy that your heart will know the difference. And all you have to do, the only real thing you have to do, maybe two things. Number one, you have to want it above everything else. To love the Lord your God with your whole heart, your whole mind, your whole soul. I love the fact that he put the word whole, your whole mind, your whole heart. It has to be such a strong desire to be in the experience that you have no idea how to get, but you're going to just desire it. You're going to be so devoted to that one thing. And that's the first thing. The second thing would be to share it, to love one another, to give that gift to one another. Now, those of us who live here at Namaste Village, we have an opportunity to do that all day long because we run into each other all day long. And we live in this little cocoon where we rub up against each other. And sometimes rubbing up against each other, things can flare up. It's normal. If it wasn't happening, I would say we're not rubbing up against each other enough. But each one of those things are opportunities for us to love one another, to accept one another exactly as we are, to step into the experience of joy. So I'm just going to offer those, what seem to be two things up: the experience of awakening and the joy that comes with it. But I'm going to go ahead and turn now to Vicki. I know Vicki and Teddy are in their car again, and she is the voice of practicality, and we're going to let her take it from here. Good morning, Vicki.
Good morning, Brother James. Congratulations to your brother. It was wonderful to be able to witness your ordination as a novice, right? Is that it?
It's my investiture. That's the right word.
Investiture. Okay.
Investiture.
Right. So this is what I would say, because I did read it this morning, and the first thing that came to me is that awakening is a byproduct. If we seek it and make it a goal, it becomes something that's part of the dream that keeps us asleep. So, and then the line you just said, with our whole heart, our whole mind, and our whole soul, it's the wholeness of one direction. Because the exception that is, oh, I want God, except I still want a healthy body, I want a healthy child, I want a healthy world. That little, whatever that little exception is the desire and the will to sleep. When it's whole, then our will is rejoined, like Jesus said, my Father and I are one, not only because our essence and our being is one, but because my will has been rejoined with the Father, that there is only one reality of love, and that living reality of love is joy. But for me, I would see that wholeness of dedication and that wholeness as a way of life. So there's a saying by Emmett Fox, I think it's Emmett Fox. He says, if you're thinking about your problems, you're not thinking about God. He calls it the golden rule. Do you remember that? But that's the same thing as recognizing, oh, I'm not wholehearted. And awakening is a byproduct of being wholehearted in one direction. And many people will not be wholehearted about God. It's too etheric for them. But everyone can be wholehearted about happiness, about love, and about peace and joy. Those are universal experiences that we've all already participated in. This is about participating in only that, and not standing for less than that in our hearts and in our mind. And what you started out with when you said follow the presence, following the presence is a way of staying wholehearted for love, whether you call it God or love, wholehearted for love. What it does mean on another practical side in terms of living in the world, it does mean not following judgment anymore. That's as simple as it is. Rather than using our mind and our thinking to follow judgment, we use our heart and our whole being to follow the presence of love. And as a byproduct, we stop judging, because this is a dream of judging things and opposites and ups and downs and figuring out and problem solving and substituting. If we no longer participate in that breakdown and we participate in wholly following the presence of love with our attention, with our heart, with our mind, with our whole being, then awakening has to be a byproduct, because there's no other option. Awakening is the natural state of realized love.
As always, you hit it right on the button.
Thank
The
you.
focus is not to awaken, the focus is love.
Yeah.
Trying to wake up, I don't even know how to explain it better than you do it, than you did it. That was so beautifully put. All we focus on is being whole, wholehearted, whole-minded. And then the rest happens on its own. Just focus on love. Thank you, Vicky. Teddy, what do you want to
Thank
share
you,
about
Brother
that?
James.
You know, I'm gonna, what if I want to share? Until you have the experience, none of the words. I mean, the ego uses before you have the experience, the ego uses all your thoughts against awakening to cause you to think you know. And that's just the way it is. Now, I would almost guarantee that St. Paul said what he said after he woke up and realized he had not been wholehearted prior to his awakening. And in the moment that he had the awakening, he finally was. And that's how you know you are wholehearted. You have the awakening and you realize what love is as a totality. You don't know that before as an experience. When the experience comes, then the words make sense. Prior to that, you're trying to make sense of the words to try to make something happen in the future, which can't happen in the future because it didn't happen in the past. It only happens in the immediacy of the now when you give up all your ideas and simply are, simply in being. So I don't know. All I can say is, having had the experiences we're talking about, they always come in a moment when it's got to be given. You can't take, you can't get. There's no getting in reality because you've been given everything. And the minute you think you need something, including awakening, you've denied yourself the everything that you've already been given. And then you're living in denial. Now, so there's a fine edge that you have to experience and live in a sense in that edge. And the more the experience comes, the less it feels like an edge, and the more it feels like, joy without opposite. So I don't know. It's it's an incredible experience, and all we can do is talk about it in a way that allows our brothers to see what we're talking about and put themselves in a position in their own heart and mind where they can finally give up all their thinking and let what's meant to be occur to them. And there's no controlling what's meant to be because it's already occurred and we experience it in the now. So, the other thing I wanted to say was this. There's sort of this misunderstanding that until you have an experience of awakening, you can't get the guidance that you need. And that's totally false. The Holy Spirit, Jesus, whatever your guides are, they're constantly present and hoping that you turn to them, whether you've awakened or not, whether you know anything or not. They are there to help. And they look to you for their ability to help. That's one of the big things about Jesus in the Course, especially in Helen's notes. He makes it a point to remind Helen and Bill that he needs them as much as they need him. They may need him for a different reason than he needs them, but it's a collaborative venture in which all come together for the fulfillment of their purpose in space and time. And somewhere along that line are incidents of awakening and the recognition of what reality is. And there's no way in the world that this is real in any regard, no matter what occurs here. That's all. Even your awakening, in a sense, that's just another experience that's equally unreal because you were created whole and perfect, and that never changes.
Amen. You know, the other thing I get from what you shared, Teddy, is that we find ourselves in an impossible situation.
Absolutely.
in,
That's
in,
right.
in several ways. Number one, what we seem to be experiencing is impossible because
Yes.
it seems to be separate from the wholeness of divine mind, the wholeness of the love of God. It seems to be threatened. It seems to be separate from, and none of those things are true. So that's an impossible situation there. And it's also impossible for you to awaken from an impossible situation.
That's true. That's why even your awakening is, in the long run, even your awakening is false because none of this exists in reality. It just doesn't.
Yeah. But we allow that experience to have the
Yes,
idea of that and then go about
that's
trying to, make things work in the world doesn't do you any good. That's why every day, all we say, and Vicky said it perfectly today, just focus on love. Awakening will be the byproduct of that. Don't try to wake up because that's the impossible situation. You're trying to awaken from an impossible situation. Just focus on love. Focus on caring for one another. Take responsibility for all of your projections, all of your judgments. Just keep it coming back to love, and the rest will
and
happen.
remember to laugh.
And
And
remember
remember to laugh.
Amen. Oh, thank you to both of you. This is a beautiful, beautiful beginning to our week. Before we go into our prayers and petitions, let's hear that one more time. You cannot say a dream is a dream until you wake up from the dream. And when you are awake, there is no need to think about the dream because you know it was just a dream, not reality. When you know what is real, the dream fades on its own. So we're going to circle around this topic all week long. So we hope you can join us and be present with us. But now let's just take a deep breath together. And as we do here every day, we bring our prayers to the altar, knowing, having full confidence that they are being answered even before we ask. Knowing that everything we would ever hope to receive, to be healed, to allow, is already whole and perfect in the holy mind of God. So, those of you who are in the Zoom room, if you want, go ahead and begin to type your prayers into the chat. And if there's anyone here in the Namaste Village room, please go ahead and say a prayer out loud and I'll repeat it for you. I know that my brother Kenny is recovering fully from any of the discomfort that he is experiencing while he is in rehab. I know that he is healed in this moment, and so it is. Who else?
I know that God is with every one of my friends and family in church at home, helping them to know who they truly are.
Fran is in the full knowledge that all of her friends at home, everyone in her church, is in the full awareness of the love that is within them, whole and complete here and now. She is fully aware of this. And so it is. Anyone else? Okay, let's go to the Zoom room. So Calico today is placing on the altar this moment that she be able to see beyond all form and experience only love. And she is experiencing only love right now. And Margaret Rose knows that Sally and Poppy and Aunt are embraced in that same love. Joyce is realizing that Rob's suffering has finally ended and that he is embraced in love. And Alice knows that she is joy and that everything in the way of that joy is being dissolved in this very moment in love. Gail today has prayed for calm and discernment, and it has come. Sylvia places Pat on the altar today as she enters hospice, that she and her family are grateful for the experience of peace, joy, and light is awakening within them, and so it is. And Mary is so grateful for her awareness of love's presence within her. Paulina remembers to be joyful today and every day. And Yetsky knows that every relation is a holy relationship within her, a holy relation. Leslie knows that she is love and only love. And Linda knows that she is complete, healed, and whole and being guided by a higher power. Akaldev is praying for her friend Rosemary. She knows that she is fully recovered from 2 car crashes in 1 month. She is fully recovered now. And Renate knows that she is going to stay happy all day. And Mary is praying for Storm, who is not with us, and so we hold Storm in our hearts today. He is well, he is whole, he is complete. So we lift all of these prayers today upon this altar, knowing that there is no force outside of the force of love, and that grace is filling us now, allowing us to step into the experience of undivided love forever. And so it is. And so it is. Thank you, everyone. What a beautiful way to begin our week. I'm going to go ahead and we'll do a share screen so we can finish with our prayer of protection. Here we go. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And so it is. Thank you, everyone. Namaste. Have a blessed day.
Thank you, brother. I love you all.